Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm back with two new stories for you. The first one is about OP's friend, who is refusing to pay for the damage her son did at OP's house. Enjoy the stories, guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, leave a comment. A friend of mine came over to my house for coffee with her 14-year-old son, and he decided to take a permanent marker and paint circles all over my chair, white leather. The chair is in my office. My office is upstairs. I clearly told him that the upstairs area is off limits, and if he needs to use the toilet, to use the bathroom downstairs. So he must have been snooping around, because the only place in my house where there are markers is in my office, inside a wooden box in one of my desk drawers. So he not only went through all the rooms until he found my office, but he also opened my drawers and boxes until he found the markers. Anyways, my friend was just like, "No biggie, just wipe it down with baby wipes and it will come off." Well, I did, and nothing. Then I tried alcohol, and nothing. My office chair looks like a ducking Dalmatian. I sent her a video of me wiping the chair with baby wipes and alcohol because she didn't believe the stains were impossible to remove. Then, after sending proof via the videos, I patiently asked her to pay for a new chair, even sent her a link to the shop where I bought it so she could see the price for herself. She texted right back, saying I couldn't expect her to afford to buy that chair for me and that it wasn't going to happen. Then she went off about how people like me don't appreciate young people's talent and how we are cutting off their wings and how I'm a rock to her son's balloon. She kinda spinned it around to say I should be thankful her son chose my chair to apply his talent and create art. And instead of being appreciative, I chose to be bitter about it and pick a fight. So we wound up actually proper arguing. Well, good riddance. She didn't even discipline him or scold him for painting a ducking leather chair in someone's house. The nerve. I'd be mortified if my child behaved that way in someone else's house. And this is not even a little kid we're talking about. He's frickin' 14 years old. A psychopathic a-hole. He was expelled from school for harassing his classmates. He was grabbing his female classmates' breasts and squeezing and pinching their bottom. After that, his mother homeschooled him. He's always fighting other kids and doing weird things. He even set his grandparents' garage on fire at 11. His mother is always justifying him, saying he's an old, tortured soul and he is gifted and talented. So normal people like she and I can't even grasp what his creative mind goes through day in, day out. He's one of those kids who behave differently with kids than around adults. Like in a manipulative way. Like something's very off, but I can't put my finger on it. She truly believes her son is the next Picasso and made a big deal of me not being appreciative and thankful that I bought such a nice beautiful chair that inspired her son to be brave and bold and create art on my chair. She's ducking deluded. It's not even art, it's just circles. I should be the one offended, but oh no, she beat me to it. Saying people like me are limiting new generation's creativity, and this will scar him for life, and he will never allow himself to be inspired in the moment and be brave, as she calls it, and dare to create art for others, because he will be scared others will react poorly to him, destroying their property. This is a very small town, and this woman has been out of work for ages. The actual reason she came over to my house was to ask me to get her a job in my brother's company as a favor to her, because they're now hiring and she'd be a good fit, is next to where she lives, good benefits, good pay, etc. So I'm seriously thinking of telling her to either get it cleaned or buy me a new chair or forget about the job. If she's trying to get a job from OP, I would tell her no. She's shown she isn't responsible. OP should take her to small claims court and then cut her off. This boy is obviously deeply disturbed and is being enabled by his mother. His behavior is only going to escalate, and best course of action is to get and stay as far away from these people as humanly possible. There's no reasoning with crazy. I spoke about this with my group of friends and other moms that I know. They have their own horror stories from when this woman's kid went to school with our children. So they've offered to come with me to speak to CPS and tell their stories too. I've got a lot of messages asking if I know about McDonald's Triada. And I don't know what to tell you. I know that he's set fire to his grandparents' garage and some other small fires in the school, and that for a few months, he'd pee inside his female classmates' backpacks. The boy doesn't have any type of autism, Asperger's, and isn't disabled in any way. He is just plain evil. And I strongly feel he's a psychopath in the making. He's always been aggressive, but at the same time, charming when needed. I will also be uploading before and after pics of the chair. And on Monday, I'll contact an upholstery store to get them the chair to be cleaned. Of course, sending the bill to this woman, even though I know she won't pay. But my husband says the more evidence we have for the small claims, the better. Neither of them have many friends in town because she's rejected by the community based on things her son did. She saw me while out and about and straight asked me to get her a job in my brother's company, and I invited her to my house for coffee to talk about it. I didn't know this woman until the other day. So, of course, after what happened, and seeing how she handled the situation and how she didn't take responsibility for the incident, I am of course not going to recommend her for the job in any way, shape, or form. I've always felt this was a poor widowed mother having to deal with a nightmare child. The times we talked outside the school, she seemed normal. But after what happened in my house, I now understand she's far from being the victim I thought she was. She's an enabler, a bad parent, and a manipulative narcissist. So, my husband and I have decided to both report the kid for vandalism and start the paperwork to take this to a small claims court, as well as contacting CPS. We have pics of the chair, the text we exchanged, and my husband insisted on calling her on the phone later on to demand she pays us and tell her the reasons why I am not going to vouch for her and get her that job. The reason is because then we'll of course end up talking about the other day and record the conversation with the hopes that can be used in the small claims court. I've already talked to my brother and told him everything, to which he replied he's going to make sure to blacklist her. So even if she tried to apply for a job, she won't even get an interview. First of all, we were never friends. I used that word lightly. I only knew his mom from back when our sons went to school together. The usual chit-chat outside the school while waiting to pick the kids up. This was 3 years ago. Since then, I've only seen her around town and in the shops. But we've never hanged out or been in the same group of friends. Hi everyone. I've known my boyfriend for pretty much my whole life. We were best friends growing up, and I always had the hugest, mega crush on him. But I was too chicken to say anything because he was a totally hot, popular football player with great hair who had no business being friends with a socially awkward little gremlin like me. Then, in a whirlwind series of events that read something like a shifty Taylor Swift song, about 1.5 years ago, he finally confessed that he'd always had a crush on me too, and we've been together ever since. It all still feels like a dream sometimes. This guy is undoubtedly the love of my life, and I am so incredibly lucky to have him. It was all too good to be true. 6 months ago, he was in a freak accident that left him with a severe concussion and some brain damage. We lived together, so from day one, I've been taking care of him. He's made great progress. His motor skills are back to normal. He's having a much easier time remembering things, and 2 months ago, his doctors declared him fully recovered. Unfortunately, the way the accident insurance works is that once the doctors have done that, he can no longer receive care. Since the accident made him unable to work for the time being and the insurance policy from the accident has run out, he doesn't currently have insurance. While all the physical signs of the brain damage have resolved themselves, emotionally and behaviorally, he is a completely different person. I'm not a mental health professional, but I've seen a lot of signs of what I think is severe depression. Since he's not working, he spends about 8+ hours a day playing video games. He used to love working out, but he hasn't set foot in a gym since the accident. Even though he's physically able to now, I still cook all his meals and do most of the cleaning. We used to split everything 50-50. Most disturbing of all is that he's become incredibly short-tempered with me. Sometimes I feel like I'm walking on eggshells, because if I say or do the wrong thing, it'll cause a fight. We had never gotten into a single argument in our entire friendship or relationship before this accident, but now they happen almost every day. I've tried everything I can to help him get back on track. But most of the time, when I suggest getting out and doing something, or ask him to help with chores, he says he's not feeling well and goes to lay down in bed and play games on his phone. If I try to push the issue, it starts a fight that ends with him saying I need to give him more time to recover. There are good days and bad days, but sometimes I just feel like in his head he's not fully there with me. This is the guy I've known and loved my entire life. We don't have access to any type of medical or mental health care for him, since he doesn't have insurance and money is already tight without his income. If we go on much longer like this, I'm worried we might end up breaking up. We're so head over heels in love with each other, and I absolutely refuse to lose him to this stupid accident. I can't even imagine life without this SOB, even if it's one where I have to take care of him every day for the rest of my life. But I'm exhausted, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Does anyone have experience with a significant other recovering from a serious injury? Should I push him harder? Do I need to be more patient and understanding? Help! OP's boyfriend has a traumatic brain injury, TBI, and all of these things are very, very common in how they manifest. Behavioral control, impulsivity, bouts of anger, and depression, etc., are honestly the norm in these cases. It, unfortunately, isn't something they can control, and it takes a good deal of work to get out of it. The best way to describe it is, imagine that everything you ever knew, felt, and understood in your life just disappeared. You knew you should be able to understand or remember it. You remember knowing it before, but it's gone now. It's frustrating and painful to go through, and many people with TBIs can never fully grasp that their capabilities are different now. Typically, 1 year after the initial injury is when someone is at their maximum level of improvement, and then it plateaus. So, on one end, OP may continue to see some improvements over the next few months. But on the other, OP must be prepared to accept that he will very likely be much different for the rest of his life. It would be good if OP could find a mental health counselor who specializes in TBIs. They can be a great help. Also, routines are going to be essential. OP's boyfriend needs to engage in more activities that exercise his mind, facilitate the memory capacity that he's lost, and be healthy. He also needs to learn the emotional skills to communicate with people again and manage his anger. In many ways, he has all the right to be angry, but he has to learn how to process it better. All of this will be difficult, and it will feel like OP is with someone who's nothing like who she knew before. It will be a big strain on their relationship. OP has to look out for herself emotionally too, if she is ever going to be of help to him. So, a little over a month ago, I posted here about my boyfriend's struggles recovering from a brain injury and how it was about to destroy our relationship. At the time, I was at the end of my rope. We both were. We had pretty much been completely abandoned by everyone who was supposed to be helping. The police, the insurance company, his, now former, employer, and even his attorney wasn't much help anymore. I had no idea how to take care of him or help him anymore. I really want to thank all the people who commented, sent private messages, and just gave me so much support and a lot of information I didn't have. I also heard from a lot of people who themselves have been or are currently recovering from TBIs. I was so overwhelmed that I couldn't respond to everyone, but it all helped so much in so many ways. Thanks to the resources a few people posted about, I was able to find new doctors for him to start seeing at a very low cost. It's only been a month, which isn't much time, but he's already doing a lot better. Yesterday, he had another round of neurological testing and got a normal range score in 10 of the 12 tests. It's a huge improvement, and it's definitely boosted his confidence too. As far as our relationship goes, we haven't had a single fight since the week or so after I posted here. Thanks to some of the outside perspective I got, I realized I'd been so focused on taking care of him for so long that I had completely forgotten about my own needs. I also realized that somewhere along the line, we had totally stopped communicating. That part was my fault just as much as it was his. So we sat down and had a long talk. I made it clear that I wasn't trying to invalidate his injury or recovery, but I told him how much being his caretaker had affected my life, even though I would never take back the decision to do so. I pretty much had to give up everything except my job. We decided to make a list of things the other could do to make it easier for us. He also recognized that his bad moods had been causing a lot of our fights, and he admitted that recovering from the injury had gotten him into a rut that he felt like he couldn't get out of. So we made a plan together to start getting him out of it. So far, this is what we've done. We cook dinner together every night. It's a good chance for him to relearn the fine-tuned motor skills with me supervising, and it's one less responsibility I feel like I have to handle alone. Some nights he's not feeling well enough to participate, which is fine, but he still comes and sits in the kitchen to talk to me while I get dinner ready. It's our chance to catch up and talk about our days. We got a new gym membership together, and we've been going 2 to 3 times a week to do some light cardio and stretch together. It's a slow start, but I just think getting back into the routine for now has been enough to make him start feeling better. He enrolled in an online Italian class that requires him to do an hour of classwork each day. It's really basic stuff, but he's learning an actual useful skill. Again, it's all about the routine. The biggest issue I had before was the amount of time he spent playing video games. I didn't want to try to make him stop because 1, that's unreasonable and unnecessary, and 2, it would probably just make him resent me. So I started playing with him. I've never played anything except Mario Kart in my life, so I'm pretty bad, but he's teaching me stuff. It's actually been a lot more fun than I thought. It's awesome bonding time for us, and since he gets to play at night with me, he started playing a lot less during the day. The difference is huge. This week I got sick with the flu, and on my first day home from work, he went out to run an errand and came back with beautiful flowers for me and eggs to make for breakfast, which he did, all on his own. I was totally speechless, and it made me so happy. So yeah, sorry if this was really long and sappy, but I really am so thankful for all the help and advice I got from you guys, and I wanted to express how much of a difference it made.